you too.
Dana, Anu here.
Yes.
I didn't get yeah, I would like to record if it is okay.
Okay,
But
I'll find your
yeah,
little picture and then put it on.
I would like to record as well.
Okay, I will assume everyone is recording, so I'll go one box at a time and double check I got everybody allow record. If you don't see it, then you can send me a request.
Okay, so now we have 1 more minute.
Okay. Anu, are you under your name? I'm looking for you.
I think it's under the name Hari. Hari.
Okay. You know, Anu, it's not giving me an option to
Because it's a free version for me. I don't know how to.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'll send you the link afterwards for
No problem.
recording, because for some reason on your option, it's not giving me the allow record.
Just improvise. Okay, so now it is 1 o'clock and I'm starting it. Okay. So now this workshop was actually meant for those who are already doing the letterboard for advanced motor skills. But then for those of you whose children, because many of you have signed up, who are not yet there, but you are going to get there. And then from like when children are already spelling on the letterboard, okay, now what? So it can't be that, okay, in the year 2014, he was spelling. Then again, 2015, he was also spelling, and then he was spelling, and then after that, now he's so bored with the visual prompt of the letterboard that every time the letterboard comes, he's done with it visually. Because that's what happens. I've seen it. Children go through this honeymoon stage. They love it, then they exhaust themselves, and this is so boring. So from here, now what? Right. So where are we going? See, in RPM, this is one thing about RPM. We don't have any kind of you can say, skill plateau. Because the skill, you just build on the skill. So whoever, whoever is doing something, you just build on it. That's how you do that, right? So, you know, I'm still getting email access saying that emails from at Halo saying that we didn't get the link, and everyone got the link. You know, now I double checked everyone.
And often it's a possibility someone went to spam and things like that. So, you know, I can. You want me to post on the Halo site? I'll tell them to email me at this point. You don't have to look at that.
Yeah, because you know.
I don't want you to be distracted.
So that's the thing. Okay, now. So the thing is that children are spelling over here. Now what? So the first thing is that like I'm going to go by Anne's notes that she sent me, like spelling on the flat letterboard, like when the letterboard is flat on the table where no one is holding the letterboard. See, so the first question comes is, why do we need to hold the letterboard in the first place? So why is he not spelling flat on the table from the very beginning? So that's because in RPM, first we have to check the student's performance field. Everyone has a visual field and performance field. See, visual field is like many of you, when you read, you hold the book over here. Some of us, our visual field would be here. Some of us, we are going to hold the book over here. See, we have our visual field. Like we have our auditory field also, like how far should we talk to people, like how far should we stand, like the pitch of the sound, all these different things. We all have our individualized field. Okay, now then you see that you have your tactile field, and the tactile, we all have our tactile discomfort, and this is important. Performance, because when we are performing, I'm not talking about when we are performing using our, you can say, impulse. or when we are doing an OCD performance. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the purposeful performance where it is going somewhere. Then we are merging a lot of fields over here. So the language, which is auditory, we are merging it, visual, kinesthetic, everything is getting merged over here. It is a very focused kind of, you can say, concentration over here when I'm spelling something like a caterpillar. So again, you see when different children are going to spell caterpillar differently. One student is going to spell caterpillar in one go. Okay, with a full stamina. Another student is going to spell caterpillar, breaking it up into 3 pieces. Right, so you are going to segment that spelling, taking lots of break. See, so the moment you segment the spelling, so what is happening is, so I would immediately know who is going to go over there and who is not yet there. So for a student who is segmenting the spelling, CAT, and then got, you can say there's a performance exhaustion. So needs a performance break, and then you need to do this. Remove the letterboard, and then you for them, this stability of, because when the letterboard is flat on the table, no one is exactly holding it. And so the position would be stable. So that student needs to wait a little bit to go over there. Otherwise, like cat, and then the student did a little fidgeting, and then turn, and then you readjusted the letterboard's position based on the student's angle. Then you would see that that student is not yet ready over there, sensory ready. Right, so you have to get to a point where, okay, now who is going to spell the whole word caterpillar and who is not? Now, I will show you a kind of a video clip. Like I know everyone is excited about the new paper that came. It was a very good effort. Thank you for like doing that effort over there. But about the visual, like looking and spelling. But you know, the students who come at Halo, come to for the camps, most of them, 75% of them are not visually looking. Right. They say eye-hand coordination, the vision and kinesthetic skills, they have to merge together to get there. So I will show you a video clip. So how to merge them, and you see, so I'm going to do a screen sharing. Okay, share. Okay, now you can see my screen. So it's very distracting, but let me see. Okay, 1 minute. I'm going to, let me get that thing, so that the distractions out. Okay. There was this American river over here in the northern part of California. So which part am I talking about? Sure. N O R E and H naught. Now, if you have to write that word, and so now I paused it. Look where the eyes are. So he has learned using muscle memory. Now watch. So now I want to improve his vision. Otherwise, he'll not go to the next step, because he would have a visual comfort. So yeah, because sometimes children reach a particular kind of a comforting, like a comfort, visual comfort, kinesthetic comfort. Oh, okay, this is good. Okay, I'm going to look over here because he has learned using kinesthetic, like kinesthetic skills and motor memory, where the positions of the letter is. Okay. That word no. Just as a I is jumping like this. And write that word now. What is this? Okay. I do that. This. T His writing better is just step jumping over here. So now, what I wanted you to watch is, look at his vision. Now he's looking. Right. So what changed? Why wasn't he looking over there? And when I added a new, a new skill over here. Okay. Now, how do I unshare? Oh my God. Now what do I do? Okay. Stop share. Okay. Wait. There. Okay. Now, so what happened is, the moment I introduced a kinesthetic skill, then it stopped. You can say that the student, like you can say, suddenly he began to look. See, so you see that how important it is to jump to the next step. For a student who is spelling like this and spelling great, I'm not talking about the content of spelling. Everyone is smart. Everyone is going to spell great things. Everyone is going to, given the opportunity to spell, once they learn how to spell, they are going to spell good things over here. So here, we are not looking at the content of his spelling. We are looking at the skill, because you won't be able to step jump if the vision is not supporting. See, ask those who are those who are the OTs, how important that eye-hand coordination is, because you want to know whether a hand is going. So the moment you introduce, that's why visual skill is so important in order to jump to the next step. Many times people don't think. I know the research paper came out over there, and it's great. I'm very thankful for that, like that children are looking. But then most children are not looking. So what would happen is, people are going to say, okay, the children who look, they are spelling, and children who are not looking, they are not spelling. So the questions can come like that. Who knows that way? So then you have to go figure and explain. So that kind of a thing. So here we are looking. So there are two pathways of moving from. So we are still there, spelling flat on the flat table. So there are two pathways. So one pathway is shadowing. So the student spells, shadows, spells, shadows. So spells on one letterboard and shadows on the letterboard or the keyboard that is flat on the table. So that is one way. Okay, so again, I'll do a little screen sharing, okay? Share the screen, share. A, okay, T, okay, T, okay, BTT, okay, on the L and E, battery, okay, so RE and battery, any word with big, okay, E, okay, N, O, R, okay, N, okay, O, okay, U, okay, S, what was this? Okay. So he spelled enormous. So what I'm doing is, because this is a new skill, I'm not sitting over there and asking him to, although he can spell a lot of things, but here I'm not asking him to spell. I'm just saying that give any word that comes to your mind when you're thinking about the word big. So he spelled enormous. So that way, what is happening is the pressure is less. So whenever you are doing a new skill, you are going to do it in a separate way. When you are like when you are doing an RPM lesson, you do your RPM lesson, and then later on you can tell the student, you know, now we are going to do skill lesson. So in the skill lesson, We are going to do something different. So like one word, so he has to get the stamina of letter by letter. After that, the 2 letter by 2 letter, then 3 letter by 3 letter. And that is how the stamina has to grow. Right. So that is the this is how you're going to go. Like you're teaching the student over here, but when you are doing the new skill, you are bringing it a little lesser so that the student doesn't feel like, okay, here comes the theory of calculus or some kind of a thing. Right. And tell the student is going to understand. So the time when you are, so this I did over here, like in a session inside within an RPM session, I do this kind of a skill. I do towards the end of the session. So in the beginning of the session, I finish the session, main session, and then towards the end of the session, I do some skills. Now then, after that, when the student gets better, then I do a little more skills. So you have to build up the stamina. It's not that suddenly you are going to do a whole half an hour session with the skills. No. Whatever you are introducing, whenever you are introducing anything, you will know that there is going to be a resistance anyway. And so that resistance, you have to slowly, so you have to introduce, then you have to, you have to introduce the skill, then the student builds up kind of a tolerance, and then the adaptation comes over here. See, everything, whatever you're doing, there has to be a 3-step process. Right. So introducing process, the moment, if you are like putting a lot of pressure on the introducing process, then the student is going to resist it more. You know, like you, for example, those students who are using this letterboard the whole day. Okay, tell me, what do you want to talk about? Okay, I don't want to talk about anything. No, you have to talk about something. So you begin like that, you do that. So that visual pressure, you know, when children do this and spell, I know how much of letterboard use was there. So that student started doing this, but then something happened, too much use, the vision resisted it, and then now the student is just doing this, or there's a kinesthetic a kind of a like habit that has formed with swiping the letters or pausing between the words. See, this we have to really understand the visual clock of each student. If it is used too much, now you have to tell more. No, you have to tell more. I've seen people being paraded around in the community. I'm not saying it is bad. The intention is good, but for the students' sensory, like visual adaptation, it is not good that way. So I'm spending maybe 4 hours doing homework. Okay, in the school gives me homework. Okay, very nice, integrating. Okay, we have those blue stickers up over there, integration. Okay, so we are going to integrate over here. So 4 hours. Okay, 5 hours more. Okay, now high school needs more homework. Okay, 5 hours more the better. No, more is not the better. And then you see students, they'll spell, and then if you get beat up, not because the student does not like you, but if at all there is, you can, if at all there is a kind of a visual, like you can say, problem with the visual adaptation, the student is going to, what else, how else will the student tell, right? So now this has to be, in the beginning, it has to be letter by letter. After that, it can be syllable by syllable. Okay, I'm going to show you that. So this is shadowing. This is one way. And second way, which is a better way, which is faster. Okay, that is self-dictation. Now, when I'm talking about self-dictation, okay, so when I'm talking about self-dictation, it's a whole different story with this self-dictation. So let's do this. Why do you think in RPM, an RPM trained teacher has to after talk? So the student touches C, the teacher says C. See, it's not that when I've seen many times, many versions of RPM student spells, okay, that student is not going to do the self-dictation. Okay, and all those fancy things over here, when you have, what is that? There are all these apps over there which talks for you. So then the teacher is not talking. That student will not go the self-dictation route. They have to go through the shadowing route. Self-dictation comes, see, how do I spell? So if someone asks me, okay, spell Vladivostok. Okay, it's a town in Russia, spell Vladivostok. I'm going to say, okay, V, L. My process would be, so I'm going to self-dictate, right? So I'm going to first say V, then L, then O, then I'll say, oh my God, it's a long spelling, just like my last name. And so I'm going to, it keeps going. And then the natural process is self-dictating, because that's a natural process, right? So that is where this will help, because first the teacher is going to say, then after that, in a rudimentary way, this teacher is going to fade out her prompt. Okay, and then the student is going to start chorus prompting. So the student touches C, and the teacher says C and encourages the student to say C, so that through that kind of an auditory adaptation, in the beginning, the student is going to approximate. If they have apraxia, they are going to approximate. And so they are going to, they are going to like touch letter C, and then like you can say letter C. See, I'm following. I know you're asking a lot of questions over here. I know. See, I'm following this. I'm still over here on the spelling on the flat letter board. Because this is such a topic which is, people want to do it, but then we have to do some homework in order to reach there. Right, so I'm following this. Okay.
But just for those of you who came in later, Soma has a pre-written list of questions that were given to her through Anne, who coordinated this. So we'll go through all of those, and then let Soma finish her presentation. And then when she says, I'll take questions, I'll go through the chat group and prioritize and try to group the questions together, so that hopefully if there's any redundant questions or the similar topics, we can get them all to Soma. So just keep putting your questions in the chat, and we'll get through to them hopefully as much as possible when Soma's done with her outline.
Yeah, because see, this part is so difficult to explain, because I've seen children, okay, now he's ready, but he may not be ready. So in readiness means there are three kinds of readiness. Okay, so I may have motor readiness. I'm spelling fine. Okay, I may have emotional readiness. He wants to do it independently. Okay, but then my sensory readiness is not there. See, so if sensory readiness is not there, that's how we are going to coordinate the senses, the vision and the auditory, to spell the right words. So auditory, they have to all collaborate in order to kinesthetically represent what they are collaborating. See, so that's where we have to see, like I'll show you, like in autism, everything is learned like this. Like you can say, okay, everything is learned, you can say, in pockets. So I learned this skill, I learned this skill, but then we have to assemble them like that. We have to assemble this to this, then this to this, right? Only when we assemble them, then the output becomes, that kinesthetic output becomes meaningful. Okay, so that's that process. Like I see the like questions. Okay, now he's doing algebra. Now he's going to do calculus. Okay, now what next to teach over there? He's doing very high grade physics or chemistry, whatever. That's great. But then it is getting done in a pocket, right? If you are not assimilating it, it's not good to generalize, right? That's kind of a thing. So I was continuing with the self-dictation. So I will show you a little bit about this self-dictation. Okay, so self-dictation, be it saying, be it writing, be it spelling, doesn't matter. So I'm going to share the screen, share, and then I'm going to wait. Let's see. Okay. Wait, let me get that. So whispering, rustling through the air. So whisper and rustle, they are what kind of words? S, O, U, N, and yes, they're sound words, right? So S-O, U-N-D sound. Whispering, rustling through the air. On still and stone. Now look at that. Still and stone, roof everywhere. Everywhere. Now rustling, it has ST. Still and stone. So you have these alliterations. So alliteration of which sound on that? S and T. Yes, ST. Can you? So wait. I'll just shorten them because, okay, stop share. Okay, so now you see, look at her calmness, emotionally ready. She's not showing like a kind of a sensory, like that kind of a face. And so this is called, so this is one way where she is self-dictating herself. So she does not need the like shadowing. So as I said, there are two pathways. So this is the self-dictating. Now self-dictating, why it is better? And that is why I encourage the teachers to after say the letters, because this self-dictation, you can step jump that shadowing part. Otherwise shadowing, I've seen it stays forever and it's very long process. It is long route to go there versus this self-dictation. So self-dictation can begin in different ways. One is teacher dictating. So if you are trying to get over there, so suppose this is the letter board. So self-dictating would be you just stick the Scotch tape on maybe 5 letters at a time. Okay. So no, this is not even self-dictation. This is dictation step. Okay. So maybe I stuck at S, so in different corners. Okay. And stick it untidily. Because you don't have those manicured letterboards. I've seen people bringing those little nice manicured. It is not about beauty. Okay, it is about how functioning it is. Don't laugh. Now, this is, so here we are. So suppose I stuck it at S. Okay, then I stick it at maybe A, distance it. So all of you who want to go there and who want to do this and start with dictation and start it today is what, everything, like today is the best day to start, right? Yesterday was the best day to start, today is the second best. Okay, now, and maybe J. Okay, see, so how untidily I stuck. Okay, so that they are prominent, and that is the tactile thing. And now you stand far. You don't stick over there. You stand far and say touch letter S, touch letter J, right? Keep it on the table, touch letter. Now, if at all a student is kinesthetic and running around, then it's not going to happen. There has to be some kind of a body rest, because why won't it happen? Or someone is doing this and this, it's not going to happen, because that action is going to overpower this action. See, you have the strong action. See, as I said, you can't tap your head and rub your belly at the same time, right? So that's the yeah, you're all going to do it right now. So you are so now, so letter by letter dictation. Now when, so maybe 5 letters and that's it. Don't overdo it. Maybe you do it twice a day at different times. Okay. Now, depending upon, then you see, because you have to start easy. Then you start doing the spelling dictation. Okay, so suppose I can, so now make it meaningful. So I stuck it on S, then I stuck it at U and N. Now spell sun and you move out. Okay, because when you are moving outside a little. So at that time, don't sit over there and then stand sticky tape like that, close like that. Don't do that. So because you want the student to be independent, and this is so letter by letter dictation, then word by word dictation, 5 words, 3-letter words. Okay. Then add on. So then after that, when you see that the student is comfortable with that, then you add on. Oh my God, I look so ugly like that way. Now, so no, never mind. Okay, so then you add then you make the word longer. Maybe horse. Okay, don't add the word displacement right away. Okay, so horse, then something common, and tell the student that, look, you are like your cognitive skill is over there. This is not a cognitive lesson. This is a skill lesson. Because you don't want to hurt the student's feelings also, that here I know so much and she's asking me to spell a horse and those son. Right, just tell, and the students are going to understand that. Okay, so that way, then you start building big work. Now, if you see that, now what will come on the way? Students' impulses would come on the way. Okay, because those are, this impulsive motor action is a strong motor action. So if you see that impulse, OCD is going to come on the way, because see, those actions are so strong that they are going to, you can say, they won't allow the student to concentrate. Because see, this new activity is a weak pathway, and those are already established strong pathway. So that's how much of regulation you have to do with your motor skill, and pushing the motor skill is up to you, and knowing your student. Some days the student is going to do well, next day the student may not do well, but that's okay, it's not the end of the world. Third day, because you are building a system that, this is also just like brushing the teeth is like a system of our day. So slowly you are building a system. He's not cooperating. Okay, he's not cooperating, one day lost. And see, every day gets lost, every day gets lost. And see how hard you have to fight trying to prove to people, right? That one, this thing is sort of a kind of a celebration, but it's very good, because we are making some progress, but that kind of a thing, you don't have to work so hard at all. See, so I'll tell you that, like, I would do this dictation first. After that, I would go to the next step. When children are, so you can say halfway through, when they are maybe like 5 or 6 letters over here, or like on dictation, where you are saying the word, the student is not saying. Then what you do is, you are going to say, bring the letterboard and say, you dictate yourself one word. So bring a different letterboard. So one letterboard is flat on the table, and you bring another letterboard, a second letterboard in front of you, and say that, okay, which word do you want? Just say that, give yourself an easy word so that you are successful. Because suddenly the student is going to say some Amorphophallus gladiolus. Okay, then he'll be all lost, and then he's going to sit over there and feel horrible about himself. Right, so here you are going to say, spell some easy word and dictate yourself. Now you move away. So from there, slowly the student is self-dictating himself on a different letterboard and going to that. Right, now, just to warn you, there are different kinds of memories. So you have factual memory. Children learn facts. That's why when you are teaching, children learn fast. Oh, wow, he's so smart. Okay. But then there is procedural memory. Procedural memory takes time. And it all depends upon how much of waiting stamina and patient stamina, because to be patient, you have to have a particular kind of stamina. Right. So this procedural memory is slow, and this is the time when you are not going to go and display it to the world. Build a particular standard over there to display, because you will display it without that formation, then like cake half baked, it won't taste good, right? That way. So you have to complete the process and then you show. Everything is a process. See, more you are, I know everyone wants to display, everyone wants to prove to the world, but that proving to the world is not helping at all. That way, right? So when you are doing this procedural memory, build this and tell the student that, we are doing this separate. Later on, when the student gets good together, then you blend the two, then you teach, and then you see the blending will become very easy. So everything is, you start dictation, then when you are giving the dictation of your word, then the student starts dictating himself. Then when the student starts dictating himself and does it over there flat on the table, or holds, because some children are going to hold, some children are going to hold, get it flat on the letterboard, or flat on the table, depending upon what different students choose. So I'll show you one more. Wait, where the student is holding it. Okay, wait. Again, I'll do screen sharing. Share. And wait, let's see. Move it was all the way down. You, good, continues. You there? S, good, continues. D, dust, good, continue on the O, good, all the way across. F, dust off, good, continues. Move your elbows all the way down. A little more, a little more, a little more. Yes, you're there. Yes, good. Okay. Wait. Okay, stop sharing. Okay. See, you see what happens is that, when there are more people, maybe it step jumps. I don't know, because of the load, or I don't know what happens. So it's the videos are just step jumping. It should be very smooth like that, because when I play it separately on my computer, it's very smooth. It goes smoothly. So what happens is, some children opt to hold the letterboard, and some children go flat on the table. It doesn't matter whether it's more about independence. But you can say that this is the formation. So here the teacher is stating and asking and blending it inside a lesson, because we already did the steps. So you spell this, you spell that, we already finished that step. So now we are blending it in a system where I am doing, and he has to self-dictate. Self-dictation is, as I said, it's you have to self-dictate on the letters. After that, you have to self-dictate in the three-dimensional environment. Otherwise, that three-dimensional environment is not going to happen. First, you have to do it over here. Okay. Now, I think I did flat on the letterboard. Objective spell, okay. Okay, fluency dictation, I gave it one word to open communication, and then it goes to open communication. Okay, so open communication, okay, let's see. There are, okay, okay. So self-dictation from the letterboard, it goes to something else. Say, only, when people come to me for camps, they all want letterboard. So what to do? I can't do all these skills. But they all want letterboard, and children are going to spell this, spell that. So, okay, you get what you want. But then, let's do this. So very few children come for these details. And then it helps me to work in these details when they come for the camp. Okay, now watch. Okay, so now you are going to tell me a related word. Okay, so if it is yellow, you're going to say color. If it is potato, you're going to say vegetable flock. It is time. Okay, so let me explain what is there. You can hear me, right? You can hear me, right? Okay, so there are 4 words, different words, yellow, potato, and those different words. And he has to command himself which word he wants to pick up. So if it is vegetable, he'll spell vegetable and pick up potato. Okay, so here he is going to command himself and pick up. So first it is going to be on the words, and later on we are going to bring things over here. So he is in that word stage because I'm doing it I'm not doing it in the kitchen stage, but I'm doing it in a like session room place. Okay. What it is, you can say tea. Okay, so these words are there, and you're going to word and self-command yourself. Okay. What's that? M. Okay. So now we are going to he pointed out time, so he picked up clock. So now visual skill. So I didn't say time. Okay, now you pick up. He dictated himself, I will pick up a time word, and he pointed. So this is separate from the lesson. His lesson was great. He learned history or science, some lesson, but this is towards the end of the session where we are doing self-command practice on a 3-dimension. From 2-dimension, it goes to 3-dimension. Okay, then it's all up over here. Okay, okay, now, okay. Age and on that. Straw, yeah. See, now there we are. Okay, so now, okay, it's jumping, and so I can't show it well. Anyway,
It's just the streaming. It's okay. We get the picture.
Okay, yeah. So these are separate exercises. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, these are separate exercises that you can do, and like other than letterboard and just letterboard and history, letterboard and science, letterboard and geometry. No, not like that. Geometry and letterboard, how can it be? No, I just get carried away what to do. No, so you can say that these are the other exercises that you are doing, which is going to bring which is going to glue together. But if you are just doing the letterboard and just doing the letterboard, and then children will get bored. And so this self-command practice won't go there. So now it's too bad that it's jumping. So let me see. I'll just make one more effort of wait. Let me see whether I'll just okay. Where it is all going. Debilitate. Why don't you write debilitate? And what's the meaning of debilitate? Means to. Okay, what did you write? So now why don't okay. So now from letter to letter dictation, it goes to word dictation. which needs a little more stamina. And we are not doing letterboard at all like that, but it goes word to word, because see, handwriting skill is one step above this pecking skill. Because if you can, anyone who can write can type. They don't have to type with those fingers, but they'll be able to type, because typing is just a pointing skill. This is just one skill. Handwriting is a skill which is one step over. That's why I want children to handwrite, writing to communicate and all those different things. And then see, so here what I did was introduce, with letter to letter dictation, introduce reading skills, where when the reading skills, then you assemble the letters into words, and then you spell, okay, make a long word. So he said, he self-dictated himself debilitate, and then he wrote debilitate, and it becomes easier and easier. Right. So what is happening is so as the student is getting there, you introduce reading skills, and because you need to blend everything together so that it becomes all these activities become more and more purposeful. Right. So that is where this self the thing over here, motor modeling. So in the beginning you would need, so now we are doing the next step. Okay. So it is spelling flat on the letterboard, motor modeling. See, when it comes to flat on the letterboard, if you start with motor modeling over there, then you may stay over there for a long, long time. Because I checked that when I motor model children, like the letterboard flat on the table, it's not that I didn't try it. When letterboard was flat on the table and I motor model touch C, then I saw that children are sitting over there waiting to be motor modeled all the time. Versus when I did shadowing, it was quicker. And as I said, this self-dictation is quickest to go from one step to another. And that's why teacher has to say the letters, and then teacher has to see, like speech can happen using RPM. I've seen it. I've worked with at least 56 students now, and speech began in RPM. Yeah, I'm going to write speech to communicate, and then you'll see this drama over there. Wait, okay. But so speech has happened, but it is fastest, but this is fastest, because see, when you are motor modeling this, we are going to touch this flat on the table. I've seen children children are stuck at that stage for a long time if the vision is over there. See, if children come with global vision and all those things. Now, so that is motor modeling when it comes to the skill. But for the new people who are doing, see, some of you signed up. I don't think you knew that this was already for children who are already spelling. For new students, of course, you have to motor model. This is how we touch letter A. This is how we touch. When you are teaching a handwriting skill, also you have to motor model. See, I have those videos for teaching handwriting skills but I don't have the permission to show them. See, I have to take the permission, so only certain videos I can show and certain videos I can't show. So that's why I wish I could show them, but I can't. Now, consistent and practice. So how consistent? See, you do it one day, then it's not going to happen. You have to create a system. So just like you'll have your RPM instructional session time, you also have to have a kind of a system where you are building a consistency so that a system comes. As I said, introduction, then the students begins to tolerate, then adaptation. So of course, introduction would be there. There would be some ups and downs, resistances would be there, but ultimately you see that the adaptation and other things happen. But introduction is a very, very crucial step. But here, you are not going to rush through that introduction step. is very, very crucial, because you rush and you spoil it. So many times things get spoiled when children use the letterboard. Okay, he's so smart, he has to be in a regular ed classroom. Now, in a regular ed classroom, how much time, visual time of the letterboard is getting being done over here? So a lot of visual like time with the letterboard. So what is happening is the children are not going to, so every time the letterboard comes, I'm going to hit the wall, or I'm going to do some kind of a thing over here, because my senses are not taking in. See, senses are like doorways, it has to take in. See, so that's why you have to be very, very careful how long you are doing this. That way. There are other skills like that. I plan to do, if these lockdown continues and all those different things, or some other time, I plan to do an RPM day program where you can use RPM system how to put, like, see, like when Tito and I, we use RPM, but we segment the time in different skills using the RPM principles, and you can create a kind of a day program using RPM that way, right? So I would do it some other time like that. That would. Now, so building tolerance and increasing fluency. So as the student builds the tolerance, you see that the speed in the beginning is very slow. The student is getting interrupted by other kinds of things. But then you see that slowly the speed becomes better and better and better. That's why when you are doing these skills, don't do it in a regular lesson. Start with the dictations. And you see that the speed is getting better. That way. See, so if at all, otherwise what would happen is the letterboard would be on the table, and you'll stand next to say some folks, they send me the letterboard, and you will be alert, and you'll do this, and the student is also alert, and when the letterboard is flat on the table, student is slowing down. It shouldn't be that kind of a struggle. Like from my experience, I've seen, like, when people do this, yes, keep going like that, and then you are getting stiff. I've seen the pictures, and then the student is getting stiffer like that, because they know that there's a teacher next to me is getting stiff like that. Yeah, and then you see it's going to slow the student. It shouldn't be like that. If you are doing this shadowing and you are doing this self-dictation kind of a thing, or that way. It has to be, student has to, if they are not relaxed, then you won't be able to go to the next step. As I said, motor readiness, sensory readiness, emotional readiness. All these three have to merge in order to go to the next step. That way, right? Now, obstacles. Why is this transition so hard? See, sometimes there's a sensory comfort zone. So I'm doing the third point of what the notes that I'm supposed to talk. So why is this transition? So you see that children reach a sensory comfort. So for example, 2008, I was doing the letterboard. 2009, I'm still doing the letterboard. Then 2000. So I have reached a kind of a sensory comfort. And so there would be a kind of a resistance. So more sensory, that's why when students go to one step, it's always best to move the student on to the next step, so that children don't reach a kind of a comfort plateau. Oh yeah, this is good. Oh, she's going to bring the letterboard and I'm going to spell. Okay, yeah, I'm spelling great. And then how many likes did I get on the Facebook? No, it's not like that. So it is, that thing is not there. See, like for me, I have a 31-year-old son, right? I'm still working with him. There are new things to do, because you see, you have to assemble everything so that one day life is not boring, or you're not waiting around for someone to bring the letterboard and then you're going to sit. So that's why you have to you have to create that kind of a thing. So for those who are like using the letterboard, and the students started to spell, the best time is move on to the next step, move on to the next step. See, if at all you have children, I don't know whether you are participating in this or not, because it got so out of control that if Donna did not help me, I didn't know what I would have done with this workshop. So it is so you can say that it was like for those whose children are younger. So the moment they go to this, start with the next thing, distancing, start with the dictation. Then it would be faster. But if at all you see that there's a kind of a motor comfort, sensory comfort, it will be slower, because the hurdle won't be from outside. Hurdle won't be from the emotional zone from the student. The student will want to do it. The hurdle would be the senses, because our senses, and as I said, our vision, I can spend a whole day talking about vision. Like the vision is actually, it develops like in the later part of our developmental stage. Say even a child of an infant of a 6-month old infant starts seeing color in a rudimentary way, because the cones, the rods are for the shape, and the cones, so little children, they see very blurry images that way. So that's why, because vision develops later in that sensory motor thought stage, that stage of our lives, then you can see that we have to work a little more on the vision over here. Otherwise, say like this vision and auditory, that is the command. I'm going to command myself the right thing, and the kinesthetic output has to merge together in order to go over there. And that is where the obstacle is, because everything is all over the place. So I may have, it's so interesting, like I may have the visual understanding of something, but I may, when that thing is in front of me, I won't have the visual recognition. See, I will have the visual understanding of X-rays, like those little waves and other things that I have learned in the science book. But I can't recognize X-rays. X-rays are all around me, and I don't even know how to recognize it. See, so visual recognition, kinesthetic, they all have to assemble. So that's where the obstacle has to come. And then the student's own impulse, which is a practiced activity, impulses, OCDs, they will come on the way, and the students' stims. These are the 3 strong forces. So does that mean I'll say, okay, don't let the child stim? No. Stimming is important, but then you can interrupt the stims with more purposeful activity. So a student who is stimming like this in the year 2014 doesn't have to stim like this in the year 2020. But believe me, I've seen this. More activities you introduce over there, this goes away. So there would be a kind of an kinesthetic amnesia, you can say, towards one particular activity. So a student who is pulling the hair needs a little more interruption in order to have that kinesthetic amnesia of not pulling hair. Because see, not pulling hair, it is also a motor skill. Because see, if at all the students' hands are engaged in doing some kind of an activity, how will this activity happen? This is a very weak kind of pathway, like purposeful pathway is a weak pathway. Like what we are supposed to do is a very weak thing, right? And then what we are not supposed to do, that becomes very attractive, right? So that kind of a thing. Okay. Now, typing on the keyboard, I think I covered that. And the fluency, I covered that. Fluency will happen again, dictation. Then after that, you dictate yourself. And then after that, blending the lessons and other kinds of things. Okay, now, then you have obstacles. We did this. Okay, now which page am I? typing on the keyboard. Okay, yeah, I'll finish this.
Yeah, and then next to Soma, you want to go to the question number 4.
Okay, number
You want
4.
to you want to discuss the difference between
yeah.
the letterboard and keyboard?
Yeah, let's see. So many students bring the QWERTY size letter, like printed keyboard to me. But here's the problem. Like you have been using the QWERTY size keyboard, but then how long is it taking to transition over there? Is it working? Why not? Because if you look at the first row over there, the letters are so close. T, 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 like that, Q, W, E, I don't even know. Okay, T, Y. So you see the letters are so close, and then it comes down over here. So the easier ones, easier letters, the row, which is easier for the student to touch, would be fewer letters. Right, only Z, X, C, V, B, N, and M. Okay, so versus the harder letters are very close. And so you can see that, look at the visual clutter. Right? So whenever you are having the visual clutter over there, if at all you are having a visual clutter over there, and then the student is, then you see it is just, you spend years and years with the QWERTY keyboard, or holding the letterboard, or holding the keyboard, which is also, which is still the pecking skill over here, just as a pointing skill, and things are not moving from there. Right. So that's why I'm saying that it doesn't matter whether you are doing, see, I like the kind of letterboard, this figured out, I did many kind of configuration in the beginning, and I've seen that this is a healthy distance for the student to accurately point. So the student's accuracy over here will affect the accuracy over there. And if the student is, and even the way the student is spelling. So those students who are spelling like this, like Morse code, I'm just telling, sounds like Morse code, right? Sometimes you do it like that. So twice, it has become a kind of a motor modeling, like motor memory. There you have to do a little motor modeling. We just have to touch one. So motor modeling is when the teacher and the student does an activity as a joint activity twice, and the student does it himself, because you are creating a kind of a motor pathway that way. So if you see that children are doing this like a Morse code over there, then you see that there's more delaying in the process. And you know, children can go from here to the keyboard. I've seen it. So you don't have to make QWERTY keyboard or something that way, or hold a kind of a typing device or something. It can go that way if you are doing this shadowing. So shadowing, as I said, letter by letter, after that syllable by syllable, and then word by word, and then that is how it begins. That way, right? So and in the meanwhile, you start that dictation process also with this Scotch tape over here. So now, if at all the student is doing very well with the dictation over here, and you want to blend it with a lesson, okay, so that can be done. So start with shorter words. Okay, so you can say, well, Alexander was a king of Macedonia. So who was Alexander? And what you do is, you are going to just put it on the relevant letter. K. Then I. Don't ask the student to spell Macedonia in the very beginning. Even though when you are holding, the student is spelling Macedonia fine. But when you are using the keyboard or putting the letterboard flat on the table, you are going to go from where the students needs minimum stress over here. Otherwise, Macedonia, it just keeps going, right? Now, so wait. So I'm going to say Alexander was a, so every spelling you may have to do this. However annoying it is for you to do this, but so you taught Alexander was a king. So let me place that. So I taught Alexander was a king, and then this letterboard over here, and I put it just on the relevant letter KIT. And now you spell who was Alexander. So the student is going to toss the relevant words. So doing this, what is happening is the student is eliminating all the unnecessary visual prompts of the other letters and focusing only on the right letters. Then once the student gets it over there, then you can introduce Macedonia, and then you can use some teaser letters. Like for example, if he has to spell king, you can add 2 teasers like that at T and E. Right. So T and E are not necessary. So these are the two teasing letters over here, and then the student spelled king. Right. So this is how you are proceeding slowly and steadily, and not putting too much of pressure on the student also. And when you are getting to assemble. Now, what I would do is, so if you want, okay, instead of that, why not go directly to the keyboard? Okay, so you can stick these to the keyboard also. So I'm going to stick it to K. Okay, then I'm going to stick it to that. And so you can stick it to the keyboard also, which can be done also, depending upon that. Now, if you know that your student is not in a good mood that day and he's going to throw everything down, that day you have to back off. That day, letterboard would be cheaper to destroy. Now which one should I talk?
Soma, can you answer the question? And this came up too. How do you increase the distance between the teacher and student after the student is openly communicating on the letterboard or keyboard flat on the table, so that the teacher is further from the table and the student can answer independently without the teacher being so close physically?
Okay, now that depends upon the student's personality, because some students would allow, some students won't. So let me show you this. I think his mother sign is there also. Wait. In this. So self-dictating, okay.
Share screen, Soma.
Okay, wait. Oh my God. Okay, wait.
Yep.
Look at. Okay, wait.
That's okay. Just go back and share screen if you want to.
Okay, yes. Wait, share screen. Okay, share.
There you go. That's good. Now we can.
Okay. Double P's, C-O-M. Yeah, you got it. M is good. Hold it. Just say P, good. P, then M. Oh. A, good. E, then R. You say R. You want to write I because pair, P-I-R, pair. So, okay. Okay. Now, watch this. So here, stop share. Okay. So watch this. Here we are having a transition. Now, when you are moving away, first the teacher has to be very relaxed. Because when the teacher is all stressed, okay, I'm moving away, I'm creating and then what's happening? Because everyone goes through an encoding. So I have encoded the teacher standing next to me. Now I have to go to the next encoding where the teacher is standing away from me. Right. So when I have to go to that next encoding stage, that is where you can say that that is where the problem happens. So now let's look at where you have teacher moving away. Teacher can move away, but it all depends upon where, like how the encoding of the student is. That way. I usually try to move away when students are uh, uh, in a relaxed way, and then, but as a teacher, you have to be relaxed. Because if you are not relaxed, students are going to pick up, oh, she's nervous. Oh my God, I have to be nervous too. That way. Now, so that, okay, now, but build on this skill. As the student gets good at the skill, you'll see that you can start moving away. Okay, then what, now where were we? What are we supposed to do? I have to
Here, one question before you start handwriting. When does it make sense to bring in another teacher or partner for your student when they're fluent on open communication? When can they start with a secondary person?
I don't know, like some students do well with one person. Some people do, like I've seen, here's the deal. I've seen when 10 different people work with one student. It feels good, he's communicating with him, but still he's communicating with him. Right. So it's like the thing, I would work on the next skill of making the student independent. Otherwise, it would still be him, even if there are 10 people, him. Right. So like that kind of a thing. Like, see, I look at this like this, like when you are working at your own individual goal, own individual pace, like that. So when 10 people start spelling with the student, okay, so this there will be 3 people who are spelling. So the students' spelling habits become different. So sometimes teachers do, sometimes, so children are confused with that kind of a prompt. Okay, so the student has to stand over there, and the teacher is doing this and adjusting the letterboard based on where the student has to spell, like that, unknowingly. Now, then you see that someone is holding the letterboard like this. Okay, now the student has to do something else with it. So now what is happening is someone holding. So then what happens? Then the student starts building his own habit around it. Okay. So that's where you see that 10 different people, when 10 different people do it, then it becomes like, think about a painting. You are painting and then someone else comes and paints over there. Then he has his idea. Then the painting doesn't look like what you want it to be. That kind, right? So otherwise you can do it if at all you see that the students' motor skills have generalized. He has a good generalized motor skill, then you can do it that way. Again, depending upon student to student. I've seen children go to school, 10 different people do it, and then the student begins behaviors around that. They did not have it, and then that behavior becomes such a permanent kinesthetic activity, because behavior, what is behavior? It's a kinesthetic activity, right? So it can be because of a sensory defense mechanism or some kind of a thing, then that way, right?
Okay. Soma, since it's 3:12, we should start handwriting.
Okay, handwriting.
There you go.
So when we are doing the handwriting skill, so I would start doing this, holding it like this. See, when you are folding the page like this, it is stiff. And then I would ask the student, which letter do you want to write? So the student can say, okay, so I would say, don't touch letter R, the letters that have break, like T, R, they have lots of breaks. So the letters that don't have breaks, I would use them. And I won't use the capital letters, I would use the lower case. Right, I won't use the uppercase, because uppercases are a little more breaks, like E and other things. So the student can say, okay, I would like to write, I would ask the student, which one would you like? So the student touches C. C is a good place to start. So then twice, I would do it as a joint activity. You and I, we are going to write the letter C. Let's write the letter C again. Now your turn. So I'll give the pencil to the student, and then the student writes the letter C, and it will not be exactly C. It will be like that, but that's fine. It is not like this. It is not something else. So that's fine. Then you say, what is the next letter you would like to write? So likewise, you just do letter by letter. After that, you do word by word. Right. So when you are doing word by word, and then sometimes some children already told me that they are retiring the letter board. So we have, okay, so here you see that she's answering everything by writing. So everything doesn't have to be the letter board, but still the teacher has to hold it at the student's performance field, because everyone has a performance field. So based on, if the student is sitting 1 mile away from the table, that performance field on the table is not going to work. So you have to adapt to the student's performance field. Screen share. Okay. Share. Okay. This. G, standing. So we are fading. What we are doing is we are fading out the letter word. This is for standing. Okay. I, E, okay. T, H, E, in the O, B, E, N, open. Okay. So you can see that the movements. So you see with this over here, again, you can see that her emotional readiness is there. She wants to do it. She has the tactile readiness to hold the pencil, not get the pencil and bite it like a steak, not like that. See, so she has the tactile readiness over here to hold the pencil, and then she is writing. See, so those readiness, so when you have all these readiness and the visual readiness to support what she's writing. See, so, but all the teacher has to do is adapt the performance field to her performance field level. Here I won't say, no, write it over here. Many times what happens is these writing programs, they're very cute, but then they don't work because people don't realize the student's performance field. So once the student gets good at it, then you do this, then you do this. So now I'm giving the student just that much area to write. And then slowly you make the lines big, and then after that you see that the student has learned to, then you can make the lines like this, because there's also how to make the student write on the lines. And then you see the student is getting the discipline of writing smaller letters and forming, because the movements the student gets, but then in order to make them small, the letter size smaller, then we have to slowly do this separately and then make them smaller, then make them narrower, I'm saying smaller, narrower and narrower, and that's how you see a writing discipline forms. That way. And then of course you can blend it in the lesson itself. Here I'm blending it with the lesson. That way. Like, you know, when people come for camps, when they ask for these specific skills, then I can work, but very few people ask for these specific skills. And so I work on a generalized kind of a thing. And sometimes if students are not ready, then as I said, those 3 readinesses are not there, then however much I can work, it won't go over there. It won't be successful. That's the thing. So that's why I wrote that my brown book about the sensory awareness, because that sensory awareness, that is the thing. You have to integrate the senses to the surroundings, then comes from the sensory integration, comes the this integration in the environment, then comes social integration, and then comes the school system. But what happens is people step jump and jump over there, and then children pull back like that. If they are not, they don't have that thing over here. Okay, so now what am I supposed to talk about? Which one?
So you did that. We're still on the handwriting. So you talked about moving from handwriting from the performance field and then slowly to flat on the table. Same progression that you do from letterboard, right? Model here and then model down.
Okay, and then if we want the imitation skills, okay. So suppose I want to do some imitation skills with a student, okay. Wait. Somehow the imitation skill is, I can't find it. So, okay, now, okay, here, let's see. The teacher distanced herself.
So, a kind of an argument where we are going to make some, so teacher changes the position instead of standing or to your right, we are going to start doing the face-to-face thing, right? So as I said, after the World War, Germany had dropped a lot of bombs in France. So Germany had dropped a lot of what in France? They spelled B, then O, then on that M, then B.
See, so that is that is changing the position of the teacher, okay? Because you see that he is comfortable, but if he's not comfortable, where are you going? Then it doesn't work.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
Let us see.
so I am talking. Let's see. So this is what we'll do. We are going to eliminate the letterboard, and I will.
Oh, this is again the speech. Wait. It's eliminating the letterboard and speech. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not getting it like that. So like there are some places. Okay, now when you go from this to other skills, like there are these diagrams. You know, I had it open, but when like how to draw a diagram. See, so you are introducing drawing the diagram skills in that kind of in the lesson. So drawing a diagram would be start with a triangle where the teacher says, you know, you and I, we are going to draw a line. You draw a line, because, you know, imitation is an important process to go to the next step. Because if the imitation skill is not there, you won't be able to teach the student piano or some other hobby development kind of a thing. So there again, in a crude way, you are not doing the letter by letter. You are teaching motor modeling. You and I, we are going to draw a line. You draw a line. Now I'm going to draw 2 lines. You draw 2 lines. And that's how you are teaching the imitation skills. Otherwise, if the imitation skills are not there, you won't be able to go to the next step. As I said, those other things also add up to independent typing. Because if you can do it over here, then this comes in place. Because you are upgrading the step over there, and then this comes in place when you are doing the motor activities over here.
Yeah. So what you're saying is when you're imitating the single lines to have a student start the writing on a folded paper.
Yes.
So say, for example, they just did the D, the straight line, and then a circle. You do it in segments, right? First
Yes.
a line and then a circle, so you break it up. And
Yes,
then
yes.
you would slowly build that to more of a flat surface. And then you
More
can
of-
build their stamina by not just one part of the letter, but all of the letter, and then 2 letters and so on. So building the
Yes.
stamina from performance
This is
field
the
to flat.
stamina. And increasing this, because, you know, if you look at if you're not increasing these kinesthetic kind of kinesthetic boundaries, if you're not getting, then the student is going to be stuck there, and then the student would want to do something but won't be able to do it.
Right.
Because many times people say, I only want communication. So if you only want communication, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So,
Many parents are asking, when would you not do handwriting? For example, if the child doesn't have the ability to hold the pencil, would you rather work on a different skill?
I would still start with, we are going to hold the pencil for a while, and just hold the pencil for a while, 1, 2, 3, keep it. Because see, writing won't come without a handwriting. So then you have to adapt the you have to adapt. See, like if you look at where you can generalize the handwriting where Tito is writing on the sand, but that did not start right away like that. So he wanted to draw something on the sand, and then it like then you can do it anywhere, any surface or like that, and it would be more like a meaningful kind of a thing, right? So those kinds of things. Now I'm still trying to figure out where it just got here. Okay, here.
So we have the pool of water and nuclear fluids. Okay, nuclear substances, that's how we keep it. So, would you like to try and draw a diagram? So suppose, so the writing is, so first you're going to draw a pool of water. This, this, this. Lift it up. This, yes. Now, nuclear waste. This, yes. So that would be one grade. This would be one grade. And let's draw the surface of the water. Surface of the water? Yes. And that is the surface of water.
So now I'm seeing him since he was this little. And because of the consistency and other things, like you can see that the skills develop, I could work with more things. And so so from the handwriting, it's jumped to the drawing the diagrams. So don't give up on drawing the diagrams and other things, because all those different skills add up to your stamina, performance stamina. That way.
Okay, do you want to read the questions on that last page, Soma, number 4?
Yeah, number 4.
My child can copy sentences. How would she transition to free-forming written sentences on her own?
Okay, now copying sentences is just the assembling visual and kinesthetic skill. Now, when you are adding an auditory like thing over here, where the student is not copying and telling something more, more like thought or whatever the teacher taught, that is assembling the auditory. So copying is assembling visual and kinesthetic, and then like typing what or handwriting what he something purposeful is adding auditory. So you have to start with a lesson, and he spells over there, and then he can copy, and then slowly he spells, and then he'll not copy. He'll copy the last. I like to do any kind of these kinds of activities. I like to do the last step first. So he copied the more all the letters except the last. The last one he's not going to look. Okay, so again, so even when you are going from shadowing over here, like copying from here to here, here to here, when you are doing from the shadow, the last letter I won't shadow. So last step first. Now, if he needs, then I'll shadow. Then I'll give it offer the letter board. Otherwise, the last letter I won't shadow, and see if he can get it or not. And if he can get it, very good. We are going to do more of it that way.
Good.
Okay. Then we have what else?
The size of my child's letters.
Yeah, again, as I said in the beginning, you have to regiment it. You have to regiment it. If you think that the student is writing big over here, then you have to regiment it, and then and that way you can bring down the size over here. Okay.
Any thoughts on teaching how to write on ruled paper or on the table?
Ruled paper happens. Like you are going to make a kind of a rule over here. So when children are good with it, then you're going to make a rule over there, and then after that the rule gets thinner and thinner and all those different things, like slimmer and slimmer, and then after that you use the regular page. So everything is a gradual process. You can't step jump. Like in a skill, you just can't step jump. There has to be like, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that stairway over there, and then I'm not looking at these stairways I have to climb, then I won't be able to reach there, right? That's the thing. Procedural memory is a very, very rigorous task over there. It is boring. I'm letting you know. And I let the students know also that it is boring. You have to go through it. But then once children pick it up, then you see like you can say the graph just starts rising.
Is there anything else you want to say about developing open communication via writing other than what you just said about the shadowing, copying, starting the lesson?
Okay, so but that was not skill, right? But okay,
Yeah.
open communication on that over
Yeah.
here. See, as I said, like it all depends upon like how comfortable that child is. Like I would start with word game. Okay, so let's do the word game. So, okay. The word game is you just put some like put it on a on a word that is maybe the word tabbed. Tabbed, tabbed. Okay. And I'll tell you how to generalize that also. E and D. Okay. So I just put it on just the letters T, A, and then you can just put other letters also. Now you're going to say, first step would be spell the word tab, warming up. Next step would be, let me see how many words you can spell using these letters. See, so then it can be Ted, then date, okay, then bed, bed. See, so I'm still making it simple, but then it is still open-ended like that, but open-ended within a closed system. Now, if at all the student is not comfortable over here, then what you do is you create a kind of a modified letter board just for this game. We are going to do a word game. Okay, so you can say B, T, A, D, okay, then E and B. Okay, and then you can put it inside a, wait, let me say, tell you. Put it inside a sheet protector so that the Scotch tape doesn't like stick to it. And then you put the Scotch tape and then you can say, so you are doing this as a game letterboard, okay? Doesn't have to be a QWERTY letterboard or something like that, okay? Because independence is your goal. And so you can say, okay, and now let me see, can you make five words using these letters? And then you move out a little more, just get distracted, try and drop a pencil and pretend that you have to pick it up like that. Just get, so that the student doesn't, you have to do it in a very subtle way. Don't say, now I'm going to drop a pencil and pretend like that. Don't do that, because you do that, then the student, oh, like that, like learning how to ride a bike. If when you know that no one is holding, then you go on one side and drop. So you do that, and then, oh, which letter you did that way. And then you add more. You can see this way, when you are doing it, you will go to visually generalize the student a little more. Student who is not looking, who got so comfortable, oh, okay, there the letterboard is. I know how to, I'm going to spell happily like that. You see that student is looking also. Mm-hmm. And you can start. And that way you can start building open-ended words. Go from the word level. Mm-hmm. Don't expect the student right away to say, you know what, I'm very, very feeling very something.
Right. So, for example, if a student did the open letter, right, an open answer on the letterboard, then transitioning, okay, now we're going to write that answer. And then transitioning, not using the letterboard to directly open communication on writing. Like you did for Tito, you talk about when he did
a lot of these. Yeah. Tito did a lot of these. Because, you know, like it was not ABCD, it was all these, because I didn't want him to get visually comfortable. So there would be these word games over there, and then on the other side I would do some other configuration and how many words, and it created him to like force himself to look.
Right. And you talk about when he took his citizenship exam, but they didn't allow him to type, so he had to write open
He had
answers.
to handwrite. That
Yeah.
way typing was not allowed. So this is these are the different steps. You do these steps, and then like don't do too much, but now you got an idea how to go there, and there can be lots of activities. See, don't stop your instructional sessions also. The children need to be need information because they need to learn. Learning is an important part of the day, but these are the side, and then slowly you are going to assemble them in a kind of a proper format over here. Okay, now there was another question, if my low tone, there was a question over there, right? Because so if at all the student is writing very light, it is a process. Children will write light as long as they are getting the movement. So let them move first. Later on, you see that it gets darker and darker. Because I've seen that with Tito, like it was, he got the movements, and then he got the confidence, then it became darker. That way. So, okay, my son, okay, can you read the questions? They're so
Yeah, sure. Let me go back up a little bit, because I think you've covered all the generalized topics, and then I'll find the ones that were not already answered. 1 second here. Going to the top here. If you have in self-dictation and the student is not verbalizing each letter as they spell, but they're verbalizing the whole word instead, would you continue to move
Oh,
forward?
yes, that's good. See, because that is step jumping. See, when I say sun, I'm going to write sun. I won't write S-U-N. See, that's way better.
Okay.
Now, but it depends upon how simplistic the words are, like complicated words, for 4 or 5 syllable words, Philadelphia. Right. There, even I have to think about it, and I have to self-dictate myself, because it's not one of the sight words. Like because will become easy on automatic, sun, hat, coat, those would be easier. But then when it comes to longer words, then I have to go back to self-dictate even with my regular auditory skills, right? That way. Okay, then.
Okay. What can you do to encourage the child to initiate using the letterboard beyond at the lesson at the table?
Oh, okay. Like for communication and other things. Here's the deal. Everyone has open-ended communication, has it has its good points, it has its bad points. The bad point is when it is done too much. How much is too much? Okay, yes, say something like so the student want to say, but the vision is not supporting. And it looks bad. Student wants to move the letterboard in public. It happens in public, but then no, you have to say something. Okay, and then the student says something, but then it becomes a visual torture. So it all depends upon what your goals are, and it slows the students down. More you do this kind of an open-ended social communication. I've seen that the moment that social goal comes, and that I'm not saying that it's wrong. Social skills can come within a confined visual setting. But sometimes if it comes all at once, rushes in, it becomes a tsunami of a sensory, like you can say, attack on that student. And that student slows down or starts pushing the letterboard away.
Yeah. Does self-dictation have to start when the student is fluent on the letterboard? My child's been using the letterboard for a long time and knows how to spell, but the biggest challenge is motor control. I think she's no longer visually tolerating the letterboard.
See, that's the thing. It depends upon how many hours of letterboard it is. I've seen that. So if at all you start, self-dictation starts happening, you start dictating. Okay, so, and then start doing maybe that letterboard is not applicable anymore. You have to start the handwriting skills that way. So use the process, motor modeling, which letter do you want to write? Start the handwriting skills. Okay, and then you see that now self-dictation, so those who are saying it is easier for me to know. See, the first step is the student points and says the letter aloud. I've seen this is what happens. After that, as the student touches, he says the letter. And then you see the next step happens if you're doing it in the right way. The next step that happens is before the student says points, he says the letter. That is the time the student is ready for self-dictation. Because dictation is before. So first, and that's the thing, the teacher says it. So that is the thing. And after that, the next step is student says the letter to, sings it as he spells. And then before he spells, he says the letter. And you know that that student is ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's who will do it. Like everyone won't be able to do it. I've seen that this group of student is going to do it. This group of student will not, may need some time to do it.
Right, just like some students may never get to the keyboard. Their highest level of skill or readiness may be just the letterboard, correct?
Just the letterboard. And then they have reached a kind of a comfort.
Yes.
That emotional comfort, everyone reached that kind. And there's fear to jump the next step.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is from Shazi. She says, the school all pushes the use of the iPad and ProLoco with no support of the letterboard. How can I help him to deal with using the iPad and ProLoco if that's only what the school will use?
Well, if the school uses what to do, you have to do it separately at home. You have to do this because, you know, like I can sit in front of a grand piano, but not know how to play a bit. See, so it's not the piano's fault. I have to grow that stamina. I have to grow those skills, and only then I'll be able to do it. See, so it's fancy to put the ProLoco and then it takes up so much of memory in your iPad, but then you see that like it's not going from there, from point A to point B.
Okay. My son handwrites. It's his preferred way of communication, but not sure how to fade away completely the letterboard. So he's open-ended without the letterboard and only doing handwriting.
Great. That's what, because, you know, like, see, this is not exactly natural. We do it because this is more like adapted, right? What is the letterboard? It is a visual prompt to initiate. And if at all he does that, that's fine. Tito retired the letterboard when he was young, like that. So if handwriting skill is way better because it's the next step. Like that, if children have, like, I don't want to sit over there and stare at the letterboard all day.
Okay. How does my son learn how to space words in between words?
Well, you know, when students starts running handwriting, the facilitated writing, which is a very running handwriting, then the spacing becomes, when children do the print, I've seen that the spacing is better. I've noticed a group of students who are doing running handwriting like that. Then because this skill, pulling back the pencil from the page, is also a motor skill. See, so I learned how to do this and all those things, and then I have to learn this motor skill that way. So I would do this if at all someone came to me like this. What worked? So I would. So the student spelled the first word because I have to go with the predictable word, right? Otherwise, unpredictable word, if I do that, I won't know which word it is and how long the word is. Then the next word is, so suppose I taught Alexander was a king. I'm just using the same sentence. Okay. So who was a king? So he started, Alexander would need a little more space. So he spelled Alexander using running handwriting. Okay. Was a. So automatically it spaces.
Okay.
Right.
How do you work on the skill of speed for spelling?
Well, again, speed, it all, like, you know, externally. Imagine a car being pushed externally and the car driving with its own engine. See, so every car has its own engine. See, so speed is kind of an engine from within. You can do some things from without. but then the engine will pick up the speed, and it has to be from within.
Great analogy. Okay. How would you work on the accuracy of typing with two hands?
I don't know how to type with two hands. Like, yeah, see, like those things, I have seen people do it. I just wow at that. But when I type like that. So I don't know how to teach that.
Yeah. And that goes to the point, Soma, about readiness and respecting what each student is capable of doing or not doing, right? If you try it and you see that they get so frustrated, then you have to back down and say, okay, we're not ready yet, right?
Yes, like like my for example, dance step. It is all the four hands and limbs and everything. This one doing this one doing that. Everything is doing different things over here, and I can be a disaster. Okay, but then someone else is doing it well, right? So that is the problem with two hands, and especially if one hand is the stimming hand, we would want one hand to move in a purposeful way.
Okay. My son is working on a typing program as a separate activity during the day. He's able to look at the screen and type the words and recognize them. He also spells on the letterboard. How can I help him transition to typing the answer questions during the lesson? So typing open answers is what she's asking.
So again, you have to do it. So what will work is, again, put these on the keys, on the relevant letters. See, I know typing program. So typing program has, okay, this, you are going to type this passage and I'm going to copy it. Okay, but then I'm not generating. So it is again vision to kinesthetic, but here vision auditory kinesthetic. And so that is why you are going to use that's why we have these subordinate secondary learning channels, the tactile. You're going to use the help of tactile in order to bring everything together. See, these secondary learning channels, they are like glue. Mm-hmm. They are going to glue up the other primary learning channels.
Okay. And what about introducing the skill of using a calculator?
Okay, now that's why I have this. I use a calculator like this. You can get it on Amazon. And so the student is going to, they are going to use the number side of the board, which I don't have over here. So what are we going to do? And then they are going to shadow it. So they are going to shadow it and point. You can get these at Amazon over here. But then only problem is they destroy very quickly. So because they are cheaply made, they are plastic, and so they get destroyed very quickly. So, and that is how you're going to do the calculator skills.
Okay. Going back to readiness, my son throws the letterboard when it's flat. How do I deal with that?
Okay. This happens. Okay. Now, watch this. Now, suppose I stick this letterboard with a scotch tape on the table at a particular place, then no one will be able to throw. This happens even when children are disruptive. They just throw things or drop the things off the table. So what you're going to do is you're going to mummy this pencil. Suppose he drops all the pencils or the cutlery or whatever it is down the table. Then what's the point? I'm very smart, but I can't even sit over there and integrate myself in a restaurant. Right? Children should be able to go to a restaurant also and enjoy. That is integration. It's not just the school have to do it. The people get the very wrong idea about integration, I'm telling you. Here the sensory integration is not there. Here the environmental integration is not there. Step jump to school integration. Like that's the thing. Children should, integration means they should be. So if you think, so this is the surface of the table, mummy the thing, the pencil or whatever nicely. So it is going to be there. It is going to be in your visual field. And you are going to learn the self-control skill, kinesthetic skill of self-control. So the same thing would happen with the letterboard that is flat on the table. See, if you see that the sensory readiness is not there, then and then you see that the impulsive activity is taking the prominence. Then in order to stop the impulsive activity, you have to create a kind of a condition where the letterboard is not moving.
Soma, can you model again how to go from the open writing? If the student is, I think people are thinking, okay, why is there such a difficulty to get open communication with writing? It's a very, very high level skill, right? You have to first model it on the letterboard and then go each letter at a time.
Yeah, stage one, which letter do you want to write? So the student touches C. We are going to write C, and in the beginning, there will be disappointment because the C won't look like C. C would look like that. But that's fine. Okay, then he didn't pull your head. He tried to write C. Okay, so that's fine. Then, which letter would you write? Okay, V. Okay, now, air model, okay, motor model. This is how we are going to write V. This is how we are going to write V. So in order to write now V, in order to do that, that student would need a little more space because V will come down and come up. So this little space won't be enough for V or W or something that has breaks. Okay, so then you have to say, we are going to come down and then we are going to go up. We are going to come down and go up. Now your turn. So you have to give a little more space for those kinds of letters, right? And this way you do this, and you then slowly start integrating it. Now, which word would you write? And after that, which lesson word would you write? Right. So, and whatever you are introducing, be it writing skill, be it the flat on the letterboard towards the end of the session, because then you say, what do I have to lose? Okay, you say, okay, 5 minutes left. 5 minutes can be a little battle. Okay, that way you do the serious part first.
And I think that's a lot of the general questions is, the difficulty in knowing when is it okay to introduce a new skill and what is a typical progression. And there is no typical progression, right? They're saying, for example, so is it first letterboard and then open and then flat and then keyboard and then writing? It depends on the student.
Yeah, it depends. And then sometimes you have to do different things in different way, like different pieces of jigsaw puzzles. And then you have to piece it up into a whole picture. And then bring it out into the lesson.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And how long a student's visual tolerance stamina is there, that's the problem. Visual stamina is there, you have to know, because if you overdo this, the student may be ambitious, I want to prove to the world, but his eyes are not ambitious. Then the proving won't happen, it will become a struggle. And the student is going to stay there. That way.
Okay. Mom says, how do we work with my student when the child is consistently resisting it?
Well, resisting is a motor skill that the student has learned. Okay, so this process I have encoded that I have to resist. So there, what you have to do is make him sit at a particular place. Don't make him sit at a swing, because swing and motor skill, when you're working on the motor skill, that swing is going to sit over there and confuse and scramble that motor activity. So when you are working on the motor skill, make it still, even if it is at the dining table or something over here. Why don't you spell? So why don't you spell this word, and then the food is going to wait, and then you are going to eat it. This is different than giving food reinforcer. It is learning to wait, and I'm learning to wait, and I'm going to do one purposeful activity, and then I'm going to eat. See, dining table and other things, like you see this little girl, she's having a little popcorn over there, which is helping her to keep. I showed you the girl who was in the screen sharing. Remember the last, wait, let me see, where she was having a little popcorn over there, and then it was helping her to calm her system and still her body, and then she was still writing that way.
Okay, and this is from Liz. In talking about the letterboard, can the shadowing happen also with the stencil? Recently, my daughter has preferred to use the stencil and hold the pencil.
Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is, because see, even the stencils are made like based on this kind of a thing, because I've seen that it has equal distance.
Okay. When communication is needed in the community and the student is fluent typing and when asked questions, but still dependent on someone holding the letterboard, how do we address this out in the community if we're teaching this skill still at home?
Then you have to do the whole literature. You have to say, well, he has encoded, this is his performance field. And because this is his performance field and this is his visual field, I have to hold it because he does not have the right kind of tactile stamina to hold the letterboard himself. Because holding the letterboard yourself needs a kind of a tactile stamina. So his left hand does not have that tactile stamina that you and I have. And that is why he needs me to hold the letterboard for a while. And he's going to slowly, he's working on developing the skill where he would hold the letterboard.
Okay.
Everyone has their own little tactile clock, visual clock. You can't see, sensory clock is so, it is so difficult to explain because people look at each other, then they say, oh, copy, oh, nice, okay. And then when they do that, then it becomes a trouble over here. See, like when Michelangelo was painting, he didn't paint in a group. He was not looking at what the others are painting. He was developing his skills and he was painting. You as a parent, your child you can't do RPM and these kinds of skills. Oh, okay, he's writing that, he has to write that too. Then your child may go that far, but because that child is there, your child will be stuck over there because we are all happy, we are all group over there, we are tribes and whatever they are calling themselves, like we are all happy community, like that. Really, it's not, excellence doesn't happen in a community. I'm telling you, community is good, but when you are working on the motor skill, you have to be a little selfish and work on your skill. That way, right?
Yeah. So each person's progression is going to be different. Don't compare yourself.
Everyone, and don't do the copycat, because you do that, that child is over here, your child may have that stamina, won't be able to go there because that's they have given themselves that kind of a ceiling.
Okay. And maybe the last 5 minutes, Soma, from Anne, can you mention how you'd use RPM throughout the day? For example, just general categories, games, art, music, a game like playing ping pong, exercise. I mean, I know you can't do that all in 5 minutes. You're going to separate Zoom on that.
Yeah, because see, I have to do a separate Zoom on that, because like you can classify the day with RPM principles, but still keep from one activity to another activity, because when you are doing those activities, you see this is falling in place. In a 3-dimension, when you get good, when you can manipulate a 3-dimensional environment, you see that this 2-dimensional environment of typing is falling in place. You don't even have to work hard.
Okay. Someone asked, what is Tito using to communicate while in the community since he's fluent in typing and writing?
He talks. He like if you look at some of the like people around him can understand, and talking. Wait, let me screen share. Like talking helps with like growing these hobbies over there. I'll just do a little screen share, and like how did it help? Wait. This is the reading skill. So first, reading together. I have a whole book over there on that. And then you are reading there. And then I'll ask questions from there. And then you have to answer from there, because those are predictable words. Like that's it. So that is reading to communicate is a whole different kind of a thing, which is going to help in the talking, right? So like, as I said, these visual stamina reading, you assemble everything and then you see the output becomes better. So even if you are not talking good, but still you are talking in such a way that you are spelling it. So those are whole different things. Like we can do a whole verbal skill kind of a thing differently, because I sort of formed a formula, like this group is going to work, this group is not going to work, like how to go to speaking, RPM to speech, and then you see the speech therapist. Okay, now sort of we have 2 questions, and people wrote so many questions. I may not be able to answer all the questions, but
yeah, I think you got through most of them, and we did the generalized way. A lot of it is of a more specific Zoom, but I went through all the questions, and I think we got all of them, Soma.
And don't you share these videos. I'm telling you. Because you share these videos, then I won't be able to do more because there were waiting lists, and then I want to do more. And then people would say, oh yeah, we are done. Then it won't work that way, right?
Yeah, it's the mom code, right? Okay, everyone said thank you so much, Soma.
Thanks for doing this. I thought, oh my God, only 20 people were going to sign up. Okay, then after that, suddenly people began to sign up, and that's good. So that's good. Yeah, I'm going to do more of these. Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Soma.
So you turn the thing
I
on.
will. Okay. Good night, everybody. Bye. Or good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Soma. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes,
This
thanks.
was so great. Thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
You look beautiful, by the way.